We are live. Welcome back to another great episode of Landscaping to the Point. How are you guys all doing tonight? We are live on all our socials and live on YouTube. So welcome in. Thank you guys. If you're watching us live, if you're not, and you are listening to us, thank you for listening to us. And me and JC are on here. We still don't know where Josh is. I think his computer crashed or lost internet, or who knows. That AI system that we were running for him might have just crashed altogether. You never know when AI is going to crash. So, but
I'm gonna have to knock on his door, see if he's all right.
I know. Yeah. I mean, maybe we lost him or something. Maybe he decided to skip town. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But yeah. Welcome, everybody. So, got another weekend. We haven't been on last week because I was in Chicago. If you guys haven't followed my socials, I've been in Chicago last week. Was at the Echo Equipment headquarters, doing some stuff, doing some transformations for a couple customers we all did for that we were part of the UAG. So, hopefully you guys seen that. If not, go ahead and go look at my socials and see all that stuff that's going on. JC was busy too, so it was a busy week for both of us. And sometimes you got to go ahead and do what you got to do. So that's where we were at last week.
Sometimes life happens, right, man?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, you just go with the flow sometimes, So that's what we did. So, but we're back now. We're ready to talk. Ready to just chat about anything and anything. So, but I do have a topic I'd love to get on. It's called business changes. So over the last couple of years, and then talking to a couple of buddies, literally talked to them today, one yesterday. We've been seeing a lot of changes here in the business in the green industry of bigger companies literally not being able to keep employees. And it's a lot of the newer employees, a lot of new people, a lot of younger people into our industry because they think they should get paid more because, they see the older people that have been in the industry for years getting paid good money. And so they think, well, they should be able to come in and just be like, we'll go at it for the same amount, but they got no experience. So a lot of them are starting to, step out because they're not getting what they pay or what they think they should be getting paid. And then that's causing companies to start to downsize a lot. A guy I talked to this morning, literally I started getting calls from different customers that he used to service. And so I talked to him this morning and was like, what's going on? And he literally dropped 2,000 irrigation company clients that he had and dropped down to his just commercial clients. And because he lost 7 employees that were all younger employees that just got out of the green industry and decided that they wanted to go work somewhere else because they can make more money working for Amazon and a lot of these other bigger corporations that are just like selling stuff from warehouses and stuff. So, how do we keep up with that? How do we keep our employees? I think it's one of the things that we always look at, and it's hard to do for just us in general because, the green industry is cutthroat sometimes. There's people that hop in the industry and try to do it for less, and that kind of puts in a lot of us into a spot that we're like, we can't do it for less because we have overhead, we have employees, we have equipment that we're literally pouring money into left and right every year. So, JC, what would you say to that? How would you? I mean, I know you used to run a business. What would you do if you had to do that? Would you, would you figure a way to try to keep an employee if you could, or would you just let them go if they said they could go work at Amazon for like say $24 and you're paying them already, $15 an hour?
Yeah, that's tough, man. And unfortunately, I think that's something that it's across the board with a lot of different other professions and a lot of other different businesses as well too. You're seeing a lot of need for workers and employees And nowadays we live in a different day and age where you can get on social media and you can start making YouTube videos, and I mean there's a lot of different things, a lot of options out there. But that's tough because there's not you got to have a good strategy, and having that answer, I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it kind of comes down to being able to adapt your business into those circumstances. Because if you're doing landscaping and you're having difficulties, or let's say you have a bunch of accounts and you have difficulties keeping up your clients, it's tough because you're going to be ending up doing a lot of stuff with limited amount of resources, limited amount of people. But you might have to cut down on one end and maybe gain on the other by specializing in something else, or trying to find somebody that could do something else, expanding your business in that sense. But it's tough, man. Especially when you have good employees, and even the good ones are going elsewhere. Keeping that loyalty is tough, and I could definitely see that. A lot of places, a lot of people in this industry, it's been going on forever though, because a lot of guys that start working for landscape companies go off and branch off and do their own business. So it's like we've been dealing with that for a long time. But I think I don't want to blame the generation, man, but it's just the day and age that we live in now.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Like you said, there's a lot of things you can do, like making money on, YouTube, making money on TikTok, all that stuff, going out and making your OnlyFans page. I don't know. I mean, there's guys out there that do that, but I think there's so many different ways that you can make money. So I feel like you said, nowadays people are looking at easier ways to make money than to be in a hard labor job. And it's
Mhm.
hard for us as people that are in the green industry or have been in the green industry for years that, slave to work sometimes, worked our hardest every day. And, you're like, okay, you get somebody in here and you're thinking, okay, they're going to be able to make it because they make the first week, and then the next week they're like, no, I'm going to go do this. So it's I feel like a hard choice sometimes trying to find the right person. And when you get them in there, you're like hoping that they're going to stay. And then, they're like, no, I'm just going to go somewhere else, or I can go make something better somewhere else. And I get that. A lot of people do need to make more money, but it's like if you worked for one of those bigger companies like that, like Amazon, you can't go to them and be like, well, I could go make some, $2 more somewhere else. They're going to be like, okay, see ya. They're not going to be like, sure, I'll give you $2 more to stay here, because they can just go ahead and hire somebody else for the same price that they're paying you. Um, but for us, it's harder to find that person to work for somebody in the green industry than it is working at a retail or a warehouse or a factory sometimes. Um, and I think that's where it is. It's it's one of those things that we're always dealing with. Here we got somebody special coming in. Here, this guy. Are you coming in to talk with us today? We were talking about. I don't know if you were listening, Mister Don Juan, but I don't know if you were listening to our conversation. Um, One of my buddies runs an irrigation company. He had to literally get rid of 2,000 irrigation customers because he just lost a lot of his employees, a lot of the younger guys that don't want to do this for the same price as what you know we can offer them, where they can go and make more money at Amazon or a factory or some of these retail places that are charging or giving more out to these employees. So what would you say about that? Is it harder to keep employees nowadays, or is it harder to find employees?
I don't think that it's harder to find. I think that anything in the labor industry, you look at the quality of life after work, during work. Um, irrigation guys that I know, like they work, they have a specific timeline to get their stuff done. Like for us, we can work, if there's not a lot of snow or frost, we could work March to January, depending on the weather. Irrigation guys have a very small window to get that stuff done, and there's very little room for error. So they're pushing a lot into their day. So that's tough when you're going, if you're going after guys that have experience, you got to pay. You know, if you want, you know, if you want your company to go in that direction where you don't have to do all the work and you want reliability, you got to pay. And you're not paying $25, $30 an hour to an irrigation guy that knows what he's doing. Because again, the guy could go do his own job and do 2 installs a week and make the same money, you know. And the same
Right.
goes for guys that aren't in irrigation. It's like, think about it, right? You're even at an entry level, you're 18, 19, 20 to 25, right? And you're gonna break your balls all day in 90-degree heat, getting stung, getting poison ivy, poison oak, or like you said, you go work in a mall for similar money, you know. Well, a lot of
Yeah.
places are hiring right now, so it is competitive, you know. But people have options, and I think a lot of younger kids kind of know their worth too. Where it's like, you know, what I mean, why am I going to break my balls for this when I can go work an office in there, an office job in there for the
Yeah.
same amount of money? I mean, I don't know. I don't think we've done a good job of like turning it up. The whole hustle and grind culture also kind of fucked things up, where it's like you got to work 90 hours a week in this industry to be something. But yeah, you got to set it up. The thing is that guys got to stop being fucking cheap too. You can't pay qualified technicians show up money and expect
Right.
them to stick around. You know. So he was he getting red, or was he losing like laborers or like irrigation guys that could do installs on their own?
He had a lot of younger guys that just came to him and said they could make more working for Amazon and that. I don't know what he was paying them. And I know he's been in business for 10 years or plus. And he's built up a good reputation with a lot of customers. And I know he's doing a lot more with commercial. So he's now doing a lot more commercial. He kept his commercial accounts, his commercial installs, but he pretty much gave away all his residential clients that he serviced. So all his service clients are now looking for companies to do it. So we've been picking them up left and right as they've been calling us in different areas, and it was one of those things that you're surprised, especially like that. Sometimes we see companies go out of business to where they're like, yeah, you know, I got to that age where I'm done, you know, but he's like around our age where he's like, I just can't, you know, I can't keep the employees around. I can't keep, you know, the people there. That he went from a 10 person crew down to 3 people in himself now. So that's 7 people that literally decided to up and leave,
I got
you
to be
know.
honest with you. That
Yeah.
sounds like an internal problem too. Like maybe
It
his
could be.
management
Yeah,
skills
it
or
could
ability,
be.
because you usually don't lose that many staff unless
Right.
you don't have structure in your company and you kind of just heeing and hawing everybody and flying by the seat of your pants. Like I get if you lose like 3 or 4 and they're saying, hey, I can make more money at Amazon, but like for someone to say they can make more money at Amazon, one, Amazon's one of those companies that's one of the bigger contributors to their employee and their staff relying on transitional assistance. So you don't make money working there.
No.
Um, but usually when guys say that, they're usually younger without the skill set. You know, and that's the
Right.
thing. Like, yeah, you have to teach these younger generations too. Like we didn't. Everybody says, "Oh, I learned it on my own." Like, no, you didn't. You learned it from someone. Whether like you may have started on your own, but usually, you know, there's someone along the way that critiques your style and like, you know, gives you that little twist to just make sure you're doing things right. So it's like you have to invest the time into these guys too. A lot of dudes, what they do, they get younger guys, and it's just like go, 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 go. You just, you know, you're gonna run pipe, you're gonna run this back, throw heads in, teach them a skill, build it so they have it. So if they do want to go somewhere, they can lateral, you know. But that
Right.
sounds like, I mean, to lose that many people, I mean, I think in any job, if your turnover rate's that high, that's usually, you know, attitude reflects leadership type
Right.
shit. So
Right. And I know his company wasn't a year-round company either. It was more like just the summer type work. So, you know, it could be also that skill set, because a lot of people when they come into this industry sometimes are looking for a full-time job year round, you know, not something that they're going to be laid off for 4 months during the winter, you know, and just doing irrigation sometimes. If you're specializing in irrigation, people, you know, are glad to work for you, but they looking for something that's going to be around sometimes instead of just sitting on
yeah,
their butt,
what'd you
you
say?
know,
Two
4 years.
thousand 2,000 customers?
2,000 residential customers he dropped. He right
That
now
that
has, I
Good
know he
business.
has 3 commercial clients that he deals with. They're bigger clients. One that, they're building apartment complexes, and one that is like, doing maintenance and stuff for a commercial company that has like 25 big commercial clients. So
Yeah, I think there's more to it than just
I think
they're up and leaving.
here's the other thing. Are you the type of business that's offering internal growth, or are you just like hiring these guys and keeping them in these same positions as well too, where they feel that they're not like appreciated and obviously not getting paid enough for those things?
that'd be
It's
true
like,
too. Yeah.
if you offer like, listen, I know I'm not able to pay you right now like as much as you really would want to, but there is an opportunity for you down the road here, like and maybe even give that person some more, role of a leadership type of thing,
Yeah.
Also too, like, I hate to say, because it's going to sound bad, like you're looking for cheap labor, but I know there's like a lot of like programs where guys get released from like jail prisons and stuff that need those opportunities too, and they're hard workers, man. And you pick up somebody like that, and again, I'm not saying that you just take advantage of those people and pay them cheap, but like, you're going to get loyalty a lot from some of those guys, because they're just looking for an opportunity, and then that's when you find your leaders. That's when you find your managers and people who run like foremans and stuff like that, because those are the hardworking people. They just want an opportunity. They don't really care like how much it is, as long as you have something consistent and keeping them, busy.
Yep.
True. Very true.
And there's big tax breaks for that
Yeah.
too when you're hiring ex-cons, convicted felons, or whatever. There's big tax breaks.
Yeah. But you got to watch what jobs you have, because there's certain jobs you're not allowed to have those on there. So, I mean,
Depending on
Right.
where you're going, like, if you hire a fucking
Right.
pedophile and you're doing
Well,
a
yeah,
daycare,
but
then like, yeah, you're not going to do that. But
I mean, I just got offered a job for,
I mean, yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, it just depends, Go ahead. I think you skipped.
Yeah, I just think I think you have to give incentives to guys. Like, it's not just about the pay. People are gonna feel stuck if they're doing the same thing for years and years and years. And especially being young, like when we were all young, we went from job to job. We did different things. I worked at UPS, I worked at restaurants, I did stuff like that, and that's part of growing in life. But like, sometimes you can't just think of a college kid or a high school kid as just a hand of labor. Like, find out what they're good at, find out what they want to do, and then put round plugs in round holes.
Right.
And it's tough. It's not easy. But yeah, it's just, I think, like I said earlier, like, I think this is across the board with a lot of different industries and a lot of different professions where they're seeing that. And there's a lot, like Josh said, there's a lot more opportunities, not just jobs, there's other opportunities as well too. Like, we're talking about online and stuff, but I mean, yeah. And also too, hey, how about you make it up on the other end, start increasing your prices, because and compensate your guys that way. Because if it's hard nowadays to find work, then that means the demand is going to be up for that business, for that service. If the demand's up, then you got to kind of adjust your rates.
True. Very
And
true.
irrigation's one of those, like, it's one of those services. The patio has a bit into it, but flow going. Similar plumber rates, so like JC said, up your prices and charge accordingly and build off what you have internally. But that really does sound like internal issues of maybe just not having organization, and just like, I've seen guys like that, and they use the labor, and these kids are dead the next day. Not used to that type of intensity. And then, they're going right back at it the next day. And people are like, oh, the pussification of America. It's like, dude, I'm sorry. When you're like 18 to 25 and you're drinking the night before and having fun, most guys are like, yeah, I went to work, or I was fucking lifting boulders. No, the fuck you weren't. You were fucking throwing up behind a porta potty. I've seen it.
Right.
I've seen the same guys claiming that shit, and I've worked with them, and I'm like, no, you weren't.
Right. I mean, yeah, there is. I get it. There's ways to make more money, make other things, but you got to look at the people, and like you guys said, look at their skill set and look what they want to do. Maybe, offer the advances, offer, more money to what, to keep them there and give them different incentives. I mean, incentives are, I think, are the most main thing that everybody's looking for when they come to a company. So definitely. So JC and Josh are back on. So Josh has been gone for like 2 months. I don't know where he went. He disappeared.
I was
He's
thinking,
probably
I was
been
like, when's
busy.
the last time I've been like, Jesus.
We've been keeping track. We got a calendar over here. We put on the last day you were out here. So it was like back in March.
This is the first day I'm in my house by 6 o'clock in a long time. Or I'm home at this time and I'm not like bombarded with other shit. It's been a busy few
Right.
months.
I agree. I mean, this year has been very busy for us. We've been nonstop. We're already booking out for the end of July. So, I mean, we're getting a lot more this year. I feel like people are willing to put more money into landscape projects this year than they have in the past, which is a very good thing for the economy. I don't know about you guys and where you're at.
Yeah.
No, nobody's wanting to put money into it.
No, yeah. And like it contradicts what I said a
Goodness.
few months ago
Yeah.
on the show, where like typically midterm election years, everybody's promising, both sides are promising whatever, and people dump money into the economy, they build and whatnot. But it seems like I'm getting calls and stuff, but nothing crazy. I know some guys are busy, 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 but I mean we're busy, but with the shit we typically have.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I mean, as long as you're keeping busy and and you're at where you want to be, and I know growth can go up and down a lot of times, and as long as you're steady and excited about what you got and happy, that's all that matters half the time. So yeah, that's good. So, what big projects have you been working around, Josh?
Big projects,
Yeah,
bunch of little stuff, nothing big.
nothing big.
I'm not taking anything big this year. I don't want any big, landscape magazine projects this year right now. I told
Right,
you before, we scaled back and I stuck to my word on that. And you know, some construction stuff, we have a bunch of manhole cover basins to replace down in the city. We got a bunch of stuff in Central Mass for installs we're gonna do. City of Boston, we have a lot coming up for like plantings and land clearing, stuff like that. Simple. Not rocket science. You don't need a laser level or nothing.
right,
That was kind of my game plan. This was a rebuild year. I for anybody listening doesn't know, like I shrunk down my snow operation. For me was massive over the past like 7 years, and I scaled that back, not to nothing, but like probably down by like 70%, in the land. We cut we cut 13 accounts out. We're all municipal and commercial with
okay,
some residential projects and stuff, but we
right.
cut a lot of meat out.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think it's good for a rebuilding year and kind of regrouping. Sometimes we all got to regroup sometimes, and you know, sometimes scaling back is always good as you get into your business and get farther into your business. I feel like because we're always right at the beginning, always gun ho about grabbing everything and anything that we can. So sometimes you gotta just say, okay, this is where I want to be. I don't want to get any farther than I need to, and I want to make sure that we have a steady income coming in, so we're not pushing ourselves. So yeah, that's good. It's good to hear. So, what are you? How's the selling mulch this year? Are you selling a lot of mulch, or are you just keeping it for doing your
Um,
stuff?
it, Keeping it for ourselves. I
Okay,
I was gonna push it more and more, but we ended up getting another contract with the DPW in the city, and
okay,
we're using a lot for that. And I don't have resources. I didn't want to bring a yard manager in right now, so I kind of scaled back. I'm actually even looking at relocating the shop next year. Actually, two separate sites, one where I live, and then one. Um, I'm waiting to hear back on a couple more contracts down in Boston, and if those clear, those will be 3 to 5 year contracts. I might put something in the heart of the city, so it just makes it a little bit easier because that's kind of the our fuel rates, at least on diesel, are pretty high right now. Like 6 and a quarter for diesel, and
right,
we're driving from our yard, 30 to 50 miles. pot, you know what I mean, just to get to the locations we service, you know, and then driving. It's all city traffic, so it's stop and go, stop and go. So it's not burning through a lot of fuel. We set our budgets. I relooked at the budgets a month and a half ago on fuel, and we've already doubled those since then. So
Yeah, I mean, gas being up is a killer in our industry sometimes. You
and the
know, but
diesel's what the pain is right now because everything we're
right.
running is diesel, so that's tough. Like yeah, like what was it today? The fuel. I went to a Noria, and I think for 3 5-gallon jugs, it was $73 to fill 15 gallons, and then
Wow.
you know what is it? What is it? $30 for the Red Armor, the big thing.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so
So
like
yeah,
yeah,
there's
just
some
for
bad
one of
stuff.
I
those,
just
it's crazy.
used some of that today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that shit. I love that's the one thing with Echo. I'm like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
You know, see, it's one of those things. I mean, gas is up, but we're still out there doing our job. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that gas can affect us, and you know, it's a normal thing. You know, we use it, and you know, like my son said this morning, he was like, "Man, you use about $100 a day on gas." I said, "Yeah, we
Huh?
do, but you know, that's normal. That's this type of business. Like, you know." You go out there and you do it. You don't complain about like, hey, gas went up. If you have to charge a fuel charge, you go ahead and let your customer know and charge a fuel charge. I think that's what we have to do in this industry. Is if it's going to start costing more, that we have to be able to let the customers know and communicate with them instead of just being like, okay, here's an extra $20 we're going to charge you today because we feel like it. No, just let them know like gas has gone up and it's costing us to our more money to service your lawn. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I feel like some guys too, like for me, for instance, you know, some of the medical facilities we landscape for, um, you know, I have a fuel clause on that, and we haven't hit it yet because they're kind of in our home base area, so I
Okay.
can't really justify charging them too much because it's not that much of a difference. But the stuff that we have like closer to Central Mass and then down in Boston, that's what's eating up a lot of the budget. And unfortunately, you know, I have a contract with those places multi-year, so you don't they're not going to sign on to a fuel surcharge. They want, you know, they're budgeted for their fiscal year from July 4th to July 4th, you know, and they
Right.
want to have it. But usually what we end up doing is there's always slip work and extra work. So we just try to build it into that slip work, you know, where we know, okay, like I said, like we've doubled that fuel budget. And a lot of that is just for those two areas where it's like, all right, each area when we have slip work, we have to, you know, add in a certain percentage to get back that money for fuel where we have that dotted line and I can't charge a surcharge.
Right. Right. I agree with you on that. We got a couple questions on Twitch. One says, "Are there electric and solar power motors like self-drive, like a Roomba?" There is electric mowers out there that self-drive, kind of like Roomba, but that's not something I get into because I know some of them are bigger mowers for bigger properties. Josh, is that something you would be looking into for any of the bigger properties you have?
It's fun, like not actively, but it's a wheel spinning in the back of my head.
Right.
I have one area in the Merrimack Valley that has a extremely steep hill,
Okay.
and it's like I mean I consider it slope mowing. I'm still kind of battling with the ownership of the facility. I consider it slope mowing because you can, you know, if you put a ride on, you're gonna flip over. If you
Right.
put you know, a 36 or 48 walk behind, you're gonna slide down. If you put like this 60-inch that we have walk behind, it'll work it, but you're going slow. Something like your contract, which I fucking hate. I'm thinking of trying to maybe get one of those robots to put in there while we're doing the other location because it takes us a few hours to do the campus. So I'm wondering if we throw one in to try that. I could put it
Yeah.
in the
I,
in
mean,
the,
I
in the
think
areas in the city. Then we get stolen the second we close the trailer door. It'll be gone. So
the minute you
I
walk
can't I
away from
can't.
He's
it.
not lying, man. He's not lying.
No, no. I'm in like Roxbury, Mattapan, in Columbia Road in Dorchester. It'll be gone.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I think all us landscapers, if we do invest into something like that, you're kind of like, do you really want to leave it alone at a site? You know, running for hours, you know. I mean, I can see it at a campus or something like on a football field or something where it's kind of fenced in, but like sometimes if you're out on a big property like that, especially in any city, you're going to see that, you know, going out to be in the problem where it's going to get stolen. And I don't think anybody of us
in Roxbury, they'll steal that and convert that to an automatic drive-by robot that'll do drive-by shootings.
Legit.
Yeah, I can see that too.
With ghost guns.
Either that or the fucking assholes on the mopeds will be using it for DoorDash, GPSing it to people's houses.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Where's Brightstone?
I have no idea. I haven't seen he's not up on the thing.
Mrs.
I know. The next question is, do you use any new tech for landscaping like a drone to spread lime or seeds on a yard? I haven't seen any. I mean, I have seen a drone for fertilization for big farm fields. We have a couple places out here that do that for farm fields, but for yards, I've never seen anything done for a yard drone wise. You guys?
Not for like fertilizer or anything like that. I mean, I know that bigger companies will use that to like, you know, like assess or survey their land and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as like putting fertilizer and treatments and stuff like that, no.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't seen that being used at all yet. I mean, drones are cool for videos, and you know, taking pictures of properties if you're doing properties, or even if you're, you know, mowing a property and you want to use it for social to show some socials, but pretty much for spreading fertilizer. I mean, it can be I can see it in the future maybe for something like that, but right now, all I can see is using it for farm fields, really.
People have a misconception of drones. Like they think you just go on Amazon and buy it and you can fly the damn thing. There's more to that. Like, especially with insurance, you got to get your Part 107 license, and there's a lot of restrictions. But yeah, like for a bigger company that, you know, they do use it. Even real estate people have been getting in trouble because like the photographers that go above the houses and stuff, and they're like flying their drones in unrestricted places and airspace and stuff like that. They're cutting down on that a lot more nowadays than they have before. So it is getting regulated. It's a lot more than people think.
I think there should be more regulations on it. I mean, there, you know, it was, you know, at first when it first came out, I think it was one of those things that just popped out of nowhere, and you know, the government didn't really have the ability to put restrictions on it because they didn't know it was going to explode as much as it did over the last couple of years. So
I actually took a class on that.
Okay.
For the Part 107 license preparation, and you're basically taking the test that a pilot would take. It's pretty in depth.
I know they have it down at Equip where you can take the test and stuff now, and to get a certification for it. So I mean, I think that's one of the things, you know, anybody that's looking into it should probably, you know, if they're going to get a drone, you probably should look into all the rules and regulations on it, because like you said, you don't want to fly in unrestricted airspace, and
just your liability too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Josh has got one following behind him all the time, so you know, he's that famous in Massachusetts. You know, it's probably just shoot down robbers that are going to steal his equipment, though. So
it's just peeping my neighbors when they're not looking.
Yeah.
That's that thing I was flying by my house the other day. I saw a curving truck near my neighborhood the other day. Launching freaking drones all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, where is he?
Dropping
dump some leaves in your backyard.
Josh and I go, hey, Josh, we going to that Woo Sox game or what?
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay. So what else you want to talk about, fellas?
No. Yeah, I mean, where are we in the timeline of the year as far as like the green industry business? We're already June 9th, right?
Yeah, we're about halfway there. Yeah,
halfway. Like so it's funny. I got yelled at yesterday on a city group because they said everybody knows that we're 4 or 5 months away from the first potential snowstorm, right? It didn't go good.
Well, yeah, people don't want to hear that, Josh. Come on.
Well, this is when you have to stop preparing. I say this every
Right.
fucking year.
True.
June is bid season. June is actual bid season, right? Like you start soliciting bids. Bids go out July. By August, you usually get an answer. That way you can see what you need to purchase and put your budgets together.
I think that's a good thing. I think
You're
a
not
lot of
wrong.
guys don't look at that like that.
A
We
lot of
don't start
property
thinking about
managers
it.
don't do it either.
Yeah,
Like you should.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we had people last year calling us in December and in January looking for stuff. So
You're gonna have a lot of people, last minute seekers, especially for you guys, because you guys are waiting like what, like maybe October could be your first potential push, right?
right,
So like, I don't know about you guys, but we got a substantial winter down there, which probably won't happen again. It's a 50-50. It might happen again.
right,
But you're gonna have those people that go, oh fuck. We don't want that guy from last year. Fuck. So I don't
right,
know how you guys did, but like we're typically like honestly statewide, like well, we'll call it statewide from like, middle central Mass, Worcester, Boston, up to like New Hampshire, has been consistently like 40s inch wise. I think this year it was like in the 70s.
Crazy this
wow,
year.
So, and it happens, but it's like when JC and I were younger, you were close to the 80s consistently, 80 inches per season
And we
consistently.
still
It,
had school.
yeah,
yeah,
no shit. But now the problem is they don't know how to forecast it because they call school because the fucking weatherman saying, oh, it's going to be 10 inches of fucking ice. And then it's like sunny and 40, And then
right,
when they don't call it, it's when like the buses are sliding down the hills. So it's
yeah,
I don't know. I hate saying it. I know that this is like, guys are getting into pruning season. They're getting into like wet checks for irrigation systems. They're trying to find extra work because lawns are drying up and whatnot. But it's a big thing. Put it in the back of your head. Snow. Start planting your snow. Think about it because even if you're a single guy, you got 5 crews, you got 2 crews. Last year could be a blessing for you if people in your area drop the fucking ball. Which there are a lot
right,
of guys that dropped the ball because they got into snow around the COVID era, right? When machines weren't available for guys to buy and they were jumping on accounts because guys couldn't equip them. And they lucked out for a few years because I think the last real winter we had was it 19, JC? In 19, and it wasn't even a big winter. I think we had a handful, like a couple of big storms that gave us most of the accumulation. So um, you start now with your business card, your door hanger, knocking on the door, and present yourself and say, hey, this is the time of year where you want to start the bid process, get a few bids, approve it by July. That way, your vendor has enough time to procure equipment, come up with a plan, or if your vendor backs out last minute, wait until December to call Scott to comply it because your guy goes, oh, I couldn't get the money to get the equipment.
right,
Josh has a very, 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 very valid point because, like he was saying earlier, this is the time of year where companies are starting to plan their fiscal budgets for the
hmm
year. So you
Mhm.
jump on that early, and they're gonna love that because they're gonna be able to like I'm saying using the word forecast. They're gonna be able to forecast that
Mhm.
budget,
going
yeah,
forward with their budget. So yeah, the sooner you get those out there, man. I know nothing about the commercial industry business when it comes to landscaping, but I could
right,
definitely see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah,
it's
that's
also a
right.
good time.
Did you shut him off?
No,
Scott
Eh,
kicked you out.
I
Is
didn't
that
kick
me?
you out. Yeah, it was you.
I know. And it's like it when you guys went away and I was on the screen, I was like, yeah, I gotta talk. But no, I will emphasize this right. I don't think I said this is don't approach your residential customers, they'll fire you about snow right now. It's just strictly
Well, yeah,
commercial.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
residential you could probably approach in September, maybe August, late
yeah, I'm sure
August
I would
would be a
usually
good
about
time.
fall cleanups. I used to when we used to do resi, I'd say fall cleanups. You're interested in plowing because we do the fall cleanups, and then I would always try to get a couple seasonal residentials. And if we did the fall cleanup, and they would they paid the seasonal price, then we'd stake the yard and take the site photos. So, but I think yeah, I mean if the other big advantage too is if you live in the Northeast or anywhere that got substantial snow last year that you haven't gotten in the past, like let's call it 7 years to 10 years, right?
Right.
you are going to be able to increase those prices a little bit because a lot of companies are going to be skyrocketing now.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're going to look at what they lost out on last year. I'm telling you right now, insurance is going to be a fucking joke this year with the amount of slip and falls. The
Yeah.
Walmarts, the Walgreens, the Home Depots, the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, because service providers couldn't get to those sites. The amount of slip and falls in those places is astronomical.
Right.
Astronomical.
Yeah.
So again, that's stuff you should start shopping too. This is the
Right.
time. Listen, I was getting quotes last year to add on one endorsement was like 70,000 fucking dollars.
Wow.
Took me months to find a way to get around it.
Right. That's a lot. I mean, when you actually think about it, I don't think a lot of guys, when they get into snow removal, look at all that insurance and the endorsements that they're going to have. They just think, oh yeah, I can just go out and make $150 on this plow for or a couple $100 to salt this place. They don't look at all the insurance that they have to have and all the endorsements, and they don't really think about that when they go out there. So, I mean, when
I'm
it comes to
I'm
residential,
still
it's a little bit different, but yeah, commercial is a lot more into it.
I'm still I can't talk too much about it, but I'm still in court for a slip and fall from 23, 24. And
Wow, I'm sorry you
I
fell.
was supposed
Did you hurt yourself?
I wish. I fucking wish. You listen, like after last winter, I was about to make a career of that shit and just walk around all the Home Depots and Walmarts and start slipping in the fucking parking lot. Oh, and
You
top
could. You
dog
probably
law.
could.
But
But
no,
once you slip and
but
fall, you could be like, "Hey, here's my business card. You need to call me next year for this snow removal."
yeah,
Curving and curving the offices.
yeah, right. Curvin, just put a Jewish name somewhere on there. Boom,
Yeah.
you're good. But so anyway, that's from 23, 24. I'm not at fault. I have I have a contract, blah, 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 blah. I'm confident we'll get out of it, but it's just
Right.
been lingering on. And my attorney had told me there's a good chance that it probably won't get resolved this calendar year. I'm like, what the fuck? That like your driving record, even though it's a pending claim, it still shows up on my insurance credit score. So now every time I go, I have a pending slip and fall. So when I go to get that CG 2292 or 3395, it's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. So I have to negotiate, when I'm writing the contracts or if I'm receiving an RFP and they have certain requirements, I have to call them back, do a three-way call with the lawyer and say, I mean with the broker and say, what are the equivalents to what you want because your site doesn't justify the cost of the insurance. Sorry, like I'm not taking it.
Right. Right. I agree. I think it's a very important thing that we all should look at, when it comes to plowing is the insurance aspect because, like I said, there's not many people there that look at that stuff when they're out there plowing. So,
Huh?
yeah. And like you
Guys go
said, make
this year
sure your
once they hear the horror
contracts.
stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Put your stuff in the contracts. Really good. Make sure you guys have contracts, especially for your commercial. Because I'll tell you what, it makes a big difference.
Taking
So,
those $30,000, 15-acre Walmarts, one slip and fall, even paying it out of pocket, it's going to cost you 30 grand.
right.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's just settling out of pocket, just so you don't have to go through court if your
Right.
insurance won't pick it up, which they probably won't, because chances are you're not going to have continuous coverage for fucking Walmarts, the big
No.
box stores and stuff.
No. No. And how are you gonna keep out there and keep salting it or whatever to keep it there?
I don't
You can't,
I don't get how anybody takes those. Like those are through case, and I think they're split throughout the country with different people. But I know the Walmart. I've gotten the same email from like 10 different fucking companies because they're out to bid this year. And JC, the one in Worcester, is 50,000 all inclusive for the year. Non-stop salting, plowing, sidewalks, and pushback.
wow.
That site failed miserably this year, where supposedly the service provider got his equipment repossessed the day before the big storm, and then didn't bother to call anybody and didn't service the site.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he had 4 slip and falls from that storm, just 4 from that storm.
Wow.
So when I talked to some of the the reps from Case. I think across their portfolio in my area, there was something like 50 something slip and falls.
Jeez, it's a
I'm
lot of
telling you,
One
slip and
guy,
falls. Yeah.
one
I'm
guy,
telling you,
dude, icy
none
year.
of none of those are probably legit, knowing it was Worcester.
So that, well, those the ones, yeah, but this goes up like the North Shore. Now you got to realize something too. Like in Massachusetts, there's a fucking loophole where if it's snowing and someone trips on a crack from like a raised concrete, that's considered a slip and fall.
Wow. So if they slip over a parking curb, then it's pretty much the slip and fall.
I mean,
You happy
any fall they
motherfuckers.
can do.
The problem is the insurance, like they don't fight it. They don't fight unless someone's like dead. They're not going to fight it. They're looking at it like this: like, all right, it's going to cost us. They're going to sue for 2 million. They're not getting fucking $2 million.
Right.
The attorney's going to come back and say, "Hey, we'll give you 100 grand." Okay, we're not going to take 100 grand. Okay, now we'll give you 70. At the end of the day, the person that's suing is getting like 20 fucking $1,000. The attorneys are taking the other thirds. It's like everybody thinks they're so fucking crazy with the sue happening. It's like you're not getting paid. And they think they're suing Walmart, a Target, a Home Depot, but they're suing, usually it's guys like us, right? It's guys that you're just
Right.
trying to feed your family and pay your bills. And you're thinking, okay, even if it's a bad winter, I can make this. But dude, that one fucking slip and fall, man, your insurance will through the roof. And the thing is, once you're red flag, you're fucking red flag. It takes a few years. It's a pain in the fucking ass.
Mm.
Right.
What
But
can you do? What could you do? Now people are gonna fall, right? But what can you do
right.
as a business to like stay ahead of the eight ball when it comes to things like that? Like, are you taking pictures of your job after you finish? Are you, um, you know, I don't know, writing it down or
So when we do works for Indy Nationals, because I do the work for Nationals, right? We log in and we take the before pictures of when there's cars in the locations, right? So for instance, we did do a pharmacy next to one of our utility sites, right? But when the operator that was going there with a plow truck would call up and say, "Hey, it's a 24-hour site. There's constantly fucking cars here," and the snow builds up because they go in there. It's in downtown Lowell. They got nothing to do. They're going in there fucking window shopping for an hour. But again, you're getting 2 inches an hour, and the snow's already built up before he got there. Now they're parked there. It becomes a safety issue. So what they do is they go in, they service as best as they can. They get in with the shovels, take pictures while they're doing it. Take pictures. Again, even if it's not a national with their own app, we take timestamp photos for everything snow. Just use the timestamp app. It has a rainbow on it in the Apple Store, Android store, and take photos of everything you did before and after. So going down, the cars parked where you weren't able to access. So when that car pulls up, and the next fucking moron that pulls in there and thinks they can walk across it and fall and bust his teeth, you got a leg to stand on. But I'm telling you right now, guy's not looking. He's on his phone, drunk off his ass, slips and falls in a parking lot. You're not going to beat it. You have no say. As a contractor, you have no say. It's the insurance company's policy. They're going to settle. It's easier for them to settle than find out there was some sort of technicality. Now there are some contingencies when you're not working with the national that you can write up about ongoing services after or completed services. We like you're not responsible. Like what are they, like some states still have like the act of God law where like you cleared the site, you salted it, you took your photos, you wrote down your weather report, you printed out your weather report from weatherworks, and then all of a sudden an unforecasted flurry went by and coded it, right? Not the same storm event that protects you. You can do that on your own personal account. So you can say, hey, once we go in and we completed the full scope of work that we agreed on, we took our photos, people came out and they moved the cars. We documented the cars with photos, took their license plates down. So to address this next time. Once we finish that service and we salt it and we get photos, that's it. We're done. If there's drips or anything like that, that's out of scope. That's another service call. Now you do have somewhat of a leg to stand on because at least you have the contract that says, hey, you know what? How do you know there's not a drain pipe? That during the day, things thaw out, it goes into the parking lot, and then it freezes over. So a lot of the guys will take these big box stores through the nationals. The thing with the nationals is when you have the insurance, they're looking for continued completed and ongoing services. That means once you're done plowing, you're responsible for that lot that entire time, whether it's 24 or it's fucking 90 hours later. You're responsible to get back there and spot check and salt it. You can't say, oh, Oh, it wasn't because there was melt off. Well, you're contracted for completed and ongoing services.
I think a lot of people don't read those, and they look at the money. That's what it is. A lot of these guys, and I see it on all these groups and stuff. It's they look at that and say, oh, okay, sent me a thing for 50,000 from Walmart, so for the whole year. So it can't snow that much, so I'll go ahead and take it because that's $50,000. And like you said, it's ongoing, so they don't realize that. They're not looking through all the paperwork. And I think when you get that paperwork from these commercial accounts, look through the paperwork because there's loopholes in there that they're trying to catch somebody to where they're putting that back on the insurance back on you. They're putting on slip and falls back on you, and it's going to affect you guys in the long run. So
put your own stipulations too.
Yeah, definitely.
Think about it this way, right? So the salt, right? You said like a $50,000 Walmart, right? On any Walmart, right?
Right.
A load of salt here, trailer is like $3,500 to $4,000 per load. So right there, 10 grand should be your entry level for a Walmart. Walmarts are no different across the country, whether it's Worcester, Boston, or fucking Ohio. They're all the same. They're constant foot traffic. People go in, they're in there for 2 hours shopping, taking their time, eating at Subway. The ice packs up. It's packed. You're not going to get through even a mild winter with less than 10K in salt. So there, automatically, you're down to 40K. Add that insurance in, right? Some guys are fucking mowing. I'm telling you, there's guys that are doing snow accounts like that with lawn mowing fucking insurance. And they're finding some sort of like loophole, like your Next Insurance or one of these guys. If you find a loophole, it's not doing you any favors. Like you'll lose money. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to do it, no matter who you are. Even if you're like, I just needed to pay some bills. Go work at Amazon. Apparently, you'll make more money. Fucking.
Yeah, there's a lot there that people aren't looking at. They're looking, like I said, looking more at the price, and they're, like you said, 10,000 in salt. You're probably going to pay at least 15,000 in insurance. And then you have your vehicles that's going to be out there, your gas, your time,
like fuel, wear and tear.
Yeah, if you got employees out there, if you're renting a piece of equipment to sit there, what are you making out of it? $1,000 maybe, if that.
On a bad wind. Listen. I talked about this. The South Shore of Boston, Rhode Island got a massive storm end of the year, like March or something. We got a call from Case to do a Walmart's sidewalks that had 4-foot windrows on them, or 5-foot windrows from the plows pushing back because they had nowhere to put the snow down there.
Right.
We gave a quote of $15,000 to do the sidewalks. It got approved. And I'm one of the very few. I have a pretty good relationship with Case. I've had money issues in the past, but they've always been rectified. I've had no trouble with them. Just more or less communication on, like, especially now. But I had no worry about getting paid. So if anybody hears it's like, oh, they wouldn't have paid you anyway. I've done hundreds of thousands, like high number, hundreds of thousands with Case. 15 grand on the sidewalks. That 15 grand gets back charged to the service provider that had that account. So now, mind you, some of these accounts, there's no accounts over 50. They're usually 25 to 50, with the majority of them being 25 to 32. So that's 15 grand. And that was just me doing the sidewalks. I declined all the extra roof work and stuff. And then the sidewalk work inside. I didn't want to touch the inside lot. Just the outside lot. $15,000. That gets back charged to the service provider. And all they do is they keep your check.
Right.
Take them to court all you want. It's in your contract. You didn't keep up with it. All inclusive pricing. Not worth it for a Walmart. You don't touch a Walmart for less than $100,000 fucking dollars, especially today with gas prices the way they are and what you need to pay people to show up. $100,000 for a Walmart minimum.
Yeah, people don't realize this. There's a lot of guys that are getting into this, into the green industry, into snow removal. You got to really look into it, and you got to really know it. That's why we're here to give you what we can do to let you know this, because if you're out there trying to do it, residential is a different game, but you still should have contracts with everybody. You should still have insurance.
Totally.
You still should be providing.
Start it now on the residential side with the landscape. Put everything you're gonna do, dude. Even if you fucking throwing it to Chat GBT or like putting it together on a Word document, like literally put on paper everything you're gonna do. So when like I remember back in the day, I told someone, oh yeah, we're gonna trim all the bushes. We'll take care. That's part of like your contract. We give you I'll give you a price for it. Went in, yeah, it's like $450 to trim all the bushes. He was pissed because we didn't fucking cut the tree limbs that were coming down. I'm like, tree limbs. I said, I'm trimming your fucking bushes. She's like, those are bushes. I'm like, they're fucking oak trees. What the fuck
Right.
is wrong with you? And she fought me. She didn't want to fucking pay the bill.
Right.
But in the same time, I'm like, all right, I guess you have to fucking. Sometimes I know it's crazy, but again, there's so much like, there's so many possibilities with AI out there to help you write contracts. Well, like you could talk into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I need a residential contract for a mowing customer, but we're not doing any tree trimming. We're not doing any irrigation work. We're not responsible for any damaged heads because I notified the customer that there are heads above grade level or peaking up a little higher. They need to be repaired." And it'll fucking generate a whole template for you, and you can go right off
Right.
that, and then put your numbers in there and have them sign it. But
Best
start
way to
with the
do it, guys.
residential, and then that way, yeah, you talk to the insurance agent about the certain insurances you need. You know, as soon as you get a guy on a fucking mower, workman's comp comes into play. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot there, guys. A lot there.
it,
I
Ranger.
know there's a lot of guys out there that aren't doing it. So you guys got to get into it and get going on the right way to do it. So definitely cover your ass. That's the main thing you got to do. Cover your ass because
ass, man.
yep. Otherwise, your ass is grass pretty much. So Josh would tell you. So all right, guys. Anything else you want to add, JC or Josh?
No, I think Josh and I are maybe going to a baseball game on Thursday, June 25th at 6:45. What do you think, Josh?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Sounds good. He's going to the game. So
Scott,
all right.
if you were there, we'd invite you too, bro.
I know. I never get to
One
go
day
that
he'll
way.
get up here.
Yeah. And then you guys will be old and decrepit, and I'll be like, okay, we're not going, I guess.
You're like 15 years older than me.
You'll be retired by the time I get up there.
Fucking retired. I'll be fucking working till I'll be fucking dead with a fucking shovel in my hand.
Who knows? Who knows? But great podcast tonight, guys. Welcome back, Josh. Thank you for coming back. I know you've been busy, so that's a good thing. That's always good. So
I'm going to apply to Amazon now anyway. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You probably get more money working there than working your own
Probably.
shit. So yeah.
Amazon Flex.
Yeah. They'll put you in somewhere entry level. You'll be good. You know,
I'm
just
also
work your
with
way up. Yeah, you work your way up. So, thanks to our sponsors, Cujo, Pro Parts Direct, and DGP. Thank you guys for sponsoring the show, and we will see you guys all next week. So later, everybody, and have a good week.
Later.
If I can ever get this shut off. I don't know what's going on here.